Hi, this is Jennifer from Positively Learning, and welcome to the Masterclass IEP Goals. Now what? Data tracking solutions for busy special educators. So, you may have seen this image when you were signing up, or maybe you saw it on my blog. But I think that this picture is much more accurate. At least I know that's how I felt trying to keep track of all those moving parts. So, you are in the right place if you currently don't have a data collection system for capturing progress on IEP goals and objectives, or maybe you have a system that involves lots of paper and possibly sticky notes and some prayer. This is where I spent most of my time. Or maybe you are tracking data, but you're tracking data on everything and it's feeling very overwhelming and you're struggling to communicate those key points. Or you're in the right place if, and I just wrote the word help, which I think applies to all of these situations. So we are going to have a masterclass based on a very simple, structured data collection system. Everyone's going to be getting a copy of the template today, and we're going to walk through how to get the most of it so you can put it into place immediately. And the best news is you're going to be able to maintain it very easily. And I think that's the key to success. So before we get started, I want to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer. I am starting my 26th year in education. Special education is where my heart lies. I was in the inclusion setting and also pull-out resource. I'm currently a instructional coach working with special educators from first-year teachers to veteran, all different grade levels. And I'm even working with gen ed teachers who may be co-teaching for the first time. So basically, I have the best position. I have been sharing content on my blog for almost a decade, and I started a membership for special educators to get organized with all those non-teaching tasks, like the forms and the planner pages and those routines and systems we can put in place to make this job a little bit easier. So I am going to be sharing out a template. Everyone's going to receive a link to go download it. It is a editable PDF. Now, when you see that link, it's on a password protected page on my blog. You're also going to see a replay of this video. So right now, I would love for you to sit back. We're going to walk through the form together. And then after, you can go grab your own copy, rewatch if you want to, and take notes. So everyone's going to be getting this copy, and it is a page that you could just download and run with it. It's designed to save you time and collect the data that really counts, but there's also a lot more, and it's easier to show than tell. And that's why I decided to do this masterclass. You may have questions as we go, and as you can tell, this is a video, but I encourage you to join our free Facebook community. It's called Special Educators Resource Room. It's a safe place to ask questions, make suggestions. If you have questions, most likely other teachers will too, and it's a great place where you can share and help each other out. All right, so here's the agenda for today. We're going to be walking through the form together and answering the WH questions as we go, starting off with why. So, as a special educator, I found that I was always drowning in all that stuff. It didn't help that I was also a bit of a perfectionist, so that was kind of a recipe for disaster. Now, it wasn't just all that stuff we had to do, it was like literally all that stuff. There was just so much, and I just wasn't using all of it, and it was very overwhelming. So, along the way, out of trial and error and a bit of desperation, I started getting savvy with seeing how many ways I could use the same item. I think it's called a hack. So, for an example, a sight word game. Of course, I could use it as a sight word game. I could have my students play the sight word game and I could take some progress monitoring notes. I could use it as an activity at the beginning or end of my reading intervention groups. I could turn it into a center. We could put the sight word cards on a word wall. We could build sight word sentences in a pocket chart. Possibilities are endless. So I started to get really excited looking for all those different ways and turning it into time saving. So that's why I chose to use this masterclass. I'm going to be showing you this template. It's very straightforward, very streamlined, but we're going to walk through it together to see all the possibilities. So let me switch over to the data form. You're going to be receiving this in a Google Drive link. It is an editable PDF. If you don't see these light blue boxes type into, please download the file and then open it. And when it opens up in that PDF, you'll be able to type right into those text boxes. I'm a big fan of pre-populating as much as possible, as early as possible to save time. Because when you're really busy, that's just one thing you don't want to be spending time tracking down student information, right? So I encourage you to pre-populate as you go, as much as possible. You can pre-populate and then save the file to use digitally as you add more data points, or you can type it all in before you print it, and then you can handwrite those notes, like if you keep a binder system, whatever works for you. So it is a one-page tracking sheet, but you're going to have 3 pages in this download. The first 2 pages are very similar, just a slight variation that I will show you as we go. And the last page is an exemplar, and that's where we're going to be starting today. So this is a tracking page for Miss Taylor. And so on the left-hand side, I can already type in student name and identification. There's plenty of room to put in date of birth, student ID number, if your district has that, whatever you use to stay organized at your school. Underneath, you're going to be putting in the start and finish dates for Taylor's IEP. And then you're going to be putting in the objective. Now, I would say that you could put 1 to 3 objectives per page. If you have a student with a goal with many more objectives, maybe pulling out the 3 that work together, that group together nicely, whatever makes sense, and then using another sheet for the rest of them. So in the red, that's information that's all going to be pre-populated. If this is the beginning of the school year for you, you can go ahead and make these sheets and put that information in. Or if you've just had an annual meeting, you can go ahead and just put this into place right away. Now we're going to switch over to the right-hand side where you see a vertical table. It starts with the goal end date and moves backwards from benchmark 3, 2, 1, down to the baseline. Now, again, if this is back to school season, the baseline might not happen at back to school unless you're having a meeting on the first day of school, which I have, which I do not recommend. But that baseline data may be put in a different place, but you still want to collect it. So moving up here, here's the information I would put in right away. You're going to be putting in the goal end date. That's the same as the date on the IEP when it finishes. Next, for benchmark 3, that date is going to be approximately 75% of the way through towards that end date. Benchmark 2 is the halfway point. Benchmark 1 is the 25%. And then the baseline is at the bottom, but that date, if it's back to school season and you want to put this system into place, just know that that date might be a little bit different. If you've just had the meeting like this morning, then this date is going to be the date of the IEP. Now I'm going to be moving up to the editable form to show you how we're going to fill this in. Let's pretend we still have that student identification information on the left. We've put in the goal date, the baseline date, and now we're going to be putting in benchmark dates. I highly recommend putting in week ending like that. And then let's say that the annual meeting is in March. So this week ending 75% of the way there. This is going to be around January. I'm going to put week ending January 25th. I do not put the specific date here. Because I'm pre-populating, this is a great reference page to look at a glance and say, oh, okay, this week, I'm going to be sure that I'm going to get some specific data on this objective. I know I've got a week to do that. If you put a specific date in there, you know your student's going to be absent that day, right? So I would put week endings for the different benchmarks. Underneath, the very first piece of information is going to be the actual date. So I knew week ending January 25th. I was definitely going to grab that data point from Taylor. And it actually happened on the 23rd. I'm going to put that date in there. The next piece of information I'm going to put is the percent of mastery that she performed for that objective. You could put percent towards goal or percent of mastery on that specific assessment. I like to do the specific assessment. To me, it just feels a little easier, but your school might want you to do percent towards goal. So whatever works for you, you're putting in your data point. So I'm going to put one in, and let's say that Taylor has an early literacy goal, and she has a goal that she is going to identify every letter by name, uppercase, lowercase letters, and she's going to have 100% mastery. So benchmark 3, I just did a quick performance assessment, and Taylor is at 90%, and I'm going to be sure to put accuracy or mastery. Now, as you can see, using this tracking form, there's a lot of room. These boxes don't look that big, but there's a lot of room to put in. Because we're putting them in very systematic, it's going to be easy to glance at it and get the data that you need. For the rest of the benchmark 3 box, you've got some space to write 2 to 3 sentences if you like, anecdotal notes, but I'd like them to be very specific to that assessment. So you may not have any. If Taylor's absent every Tuesday and Wednesday, that is really good information to know, but that doesn't have anything to do with that 90%. So I'm not going to put it in this spot. What I would do, though, is put this. You're an early childhood educator. You know that is a key piece of information. 90% mastery sounds favorable. That's great. If another special educator is looking at this, say that this student is like, he's inheriting her goals and going to be working with her, he's going to look at this 90% and be like, great, okay, I'm determining next steps, because she's going to definitely make that goal, or whatever thoughts. He's not going to be obviously like super concerned. But then look at that anecdotal note. She completed the assessment in 14 minutes. Just for a side note, the average like first grader might perform this assessment in like maybe a minute or two, not 14. 14 gives us a lot of information on how Taylor is doing with this objective. So that's an important piece of information. It's still in that very systematic format that we're able to gather, collect that information, communicate it very quickly. This page could be taken to a meeting, informal or formal. It's not necessarily a page that was designed to be shared with families, but it certainly could be, because that information is very easily communicated. Now, one thing I want to mention, I'm going to go back to our exemplar. We talked about different benchmarks, and I had written in that benchmark 1 is 25% and benchmark 2 is 50%. Please be sure to note that that is not percent of mastery. It doesn't follow like that at all. It's definitely just time specific. We are 50% of the way through that time frame. It is good to be able to see this information, organize this like at a glance, because it does keep you, thinking. Of course, we're always thinking about our students' progress, and you're at benchmark 2, you're halfway there, and like, we haven't addressed this yet. That's something that's definitely going to be glaring, from this data sheet. So it does keep you on track for that, but of course the percents match. All right, so this information, we've done some pre-populating the information that we could. We're putting in very specific date, data, anecdotal notes that provide evidence or support for that data point. Now I'm going to move back to the left-hand side where it says progress. Now there is a statement in there that you can copy and paste, and this would be helpful to use for IEP progress report cards. So this is the statement that I used, and you're just putting in the student name and is making progress or is not making progress. And then you would put the percent towards goal. Back up on this first page, that is already there waiting for you, and you can just type in that specific information. If you did not want to use that statement, the second page, it is left out, so you can type in your own statement. I highly recommend opening up a Google Doc or a Word document and putting in your statement right now, and putting in 4 different versions. Like you can say, like, based on accommodations and modifications, Taylor's making exciting progress in the area of early literacy, or whatever you want to do, and then plagiarize yourself. Cut and paste from those statements when it's time to do report cards. Because when you're doing 24 report cards, it's going to take a long time, but you've got that bank of resources that you can use. That's the kind of stuff I like to put inside the membership. So inside the membership, there is a bank of statements along with this form. So if you wanted to have some that were already ready to go, that's where they are. So I highly recommend doing that, plagiarizing yourself wherever possible. So I'm going to go back down here, and that progress statement is in there for us, and we can keep track of Taylor's progress. And down at the bottom, there's more space for notes. So of course, we had anecdotal notes on the right-hand column, and in the left hand, there is space for notes if that's where you want to put them. I actually don't use it for that. What I use it for is when I inherit goals from another special educator, or we've carefully crafted goals for our students. I think right away, how are these going to be measured? This is really specific if it's a comprehension goal, like based on grade level. I can pull grade level right now, and that is going to give you a much more accurate statement plus save you some time. And by accurate, I mean many times I don't know if you've done this, where it's like a main idea objective and you're pulling it from something that you're reading at the time of that assessment. And then you're, asking the appropriate questions and like monitoring your students' progress, and prompts and things like that. However, what's the level of that specific passage? Maybe it's on grade level. Maybe it's a little hard. Maybe it's a little easy. We can't level everything that comes in front of our students, although sometimes we do. But here I can pull these passages right away. I can either hyperlink them so I know exactly where they're going to be when I'm ready to give the assessment for these different benchmarks, or you could even print them, use this page as the cover page, have that ready to go when those assessments come up. I highly recommend doing that and not waiting until that specific time. This would also be great. Like if it's a fact fluency goal, or back to Taylor's alphabet, we could have those like probing sheets already printed, ready to go. That's going to save you so much time. And in some cases, increase that accuracy of that data so that you can compare it from benchmark to benchmark to benchmark and know that you're getting a real accurate read. So that is the data sheet. Now, I'm going to close that back up. You are going to be getting that download. Checking with our agenda, we definitely went through what that data sheet captures, how we're going to capture it, and when. Definitely when is all that information going to be put in there to make sure we have the most timely information, the most organized fashion so we can communicate it. So now we have some next steps. The next steps, connect. I highly recommend that you do join that Facebook group. It's a free group. It's closed, so you do have to answer questions. And that's just to protect you for entering a group that you're going to feel safe in, to ask questions and to share ideas. The next is systems. If this type of system, pre-populating, creating banks, things like that are what you like to do, then you're going to love the membership because that's where I literally would shave off so much time. I really believe in less is more, although there's so much in the membership, but I believe the approach less is more makes our time just so much more valuable. Like we can get more out of the time we have because we never have enough time, right? Customize. Please make this template your own. I showed how I used it, where I'm gathering the assessments ahead of time. I'm putting in the student ID information. Customize that for how you want it to be, whether it's a different progress statement, whether you're putting in different types of anecdotal notes in that those benchmark column. It's up to you. You could have the perfect system someone's designed for you, but if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to help. So make sure that you take these ideas because they are really effective, but you make them your own as well. And I want to talk about North Star. So as an instructional coach, I do cycles with my teachers I work with. And so say we have an 8-week cycle. We kick off with an introduction meeting where I really just ask questions and share how this is going to work and like listen to what the teacher wants to do. What are your goals? What do you want to improve in? Like what's going well? What's not going well? And I love these meetings. And one thing that is very clear and it's just really great to listen to is teachers' mindset. There's so many times I hear just really awesome statements. It makes me excited that they're in the classroom and I want them to remain there. I want the students to be able to have these teachers. And so, for example, a teacher's mindset for special education might be, one size doesn't fit all. I really want like my student to like get exactly what they need. That's what's going to work for them. It may not work for another student sitting right next to them. I want to have something and meet, that student's strengths and build upon, what's going well. But then I see the first observation, like say it's a week later. And often these observations start with apologies. Oh, this didn't go well. Oh, this didn't go well this day. Oh, this was terrible, whatever. And I just feel so bad. I mean, I feel bad because, of course, we've all been there. Observations are not fun, right? And I have total sympathy or empathy for it. But one thing I do notice, though, is many times what I see in the observations doesn't match that teacher's mindset or their North Star. So as a coach, I am really lucky because I can keep reminding you of that North Star, keeping it in place. Wait a minute, you want everything to be like individualized because no child like one size fits all. I totally agree with that statement. Yet in the observation, everybody had to do everything at the same time. It was very normed. How did that work? It did not work. It didn't work for the child, but you know what? It also didn't work for you. And that's how we get burnt out when we're trying to do things that aren't like aligned, with what we really believe. Because I believe we all came into this profession for the right reasons, but it's like we lose sight of it, right? So my job is to always be like, remember that North Star? Like, let's align that. Like, let's put a system in place that does match that. Because you know what? Your students are going to thrive, but you're also going to be a lot happier. You're going to thrive too. So I always like to give my North Star story. If you stay with me, you're going to hear that one again and again. All right. So thank you so much. I do appreciate you listening and getting excited about this template. Hopefully you're excited as I feel. I do want to show you systems. I'm going to hop over here. We had the data collection page. On my blog, you're going to be given a link to go to my blog, and you'll be able to access the page where the download for the template is and the video so that you can rewatch that. One thing you will also see on my blog is a page that everybody gets to see. It's the Special Educators Resource Room membership. And this is the public page that everybody sees, and you get to see some pictures and read some information. You get to meet me and see what's included. But what I want to do really quickly, in less than a minute, I want to show you the inside. That you cannot see from the blog page. The inside, this is the dashboard for the members. And all of these pictures are categories. So there's the Special Educators Toolkit, data collection, there's behavior, academics, paraprofessional support, planning pages, like to build your own planner. PD, ready to go professional development. I love that. That's the PD that if you have to deliver PD. Yes, you can also watch it and take it, but it's the slides and handouts that are ready if you're the one delivering it. That's ready to go for you. IEP 504, time-saving trainings, which are exactly like the class. We're building a library of trainings using the resources that are here for you. And there's a link to the Facebook community. So if you click on any of these, it's going to open up like this. So here's the Special Educators Toolkit, and these are the resources that are available in there. So if you click on any of these, they're going to open up in Google Drive, and you can just print them and use them, or you can download them and keep them. So that is what's in there, and that's just one of the categories. There's so much in there right now. So I did say less is more, and this is a lot, but I use the time-saving trainings to show you like how you can get so much out of them. So that is a look at the membership. So let me know if you have any questions. And I'm now going to share the template. This is the bit.ly link. It's bit.ly IEP data tracking. If you go to that, it's going to open up a page on my blog. It is a private password protected page. So the password is special educators. Please do not share that. If anybody wants it, of course I want them to have it. If you can send them to the masterclass right here, that's going to have them just sign up. so that they can like go through those and get their password themselves, and especially if I change the password. So that's something that I would appreciate you doing. And that is it. Thank you so much. Be sure to join the Facebook group, grab your template, rewatch the video, and check out the membership. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, thanks so much.